Let us begin by reading the word problem out loud. During the month of January, a jewelry company made its most sizable profit due to gift purchases for Valentine's Day. By the end of February, the jewelry company lost $9,000 due to refunding returns. If the company made a total of $22,000 in this 2-month span, how much profit did the jewelry company make during the month of January? So let us go ahead and start our strategy for problem solving by analyzing the problem. When analyzing the problem, the first thing you want to identify is a question that's being asked. In this case, the question is, how much profit did the jewelry company make during the month of January? So that's what we want to answer. However, now that we know what we want to answer, we actually know what our variable is going to represent. So let's go ahead and jump to step 2, which is assign a variable. Since the question was, how much profit did the jewelry company make during the month of January, we're going to go ahead and state the following. We're going to let x, and again, any variable will work. So we'll let x represent the amount of profit that the jewelry company made during the month of January. So now that we've assigned a variable, let us go back and continue analyzing the word problem. So what else do we know? We know that during the month of January, a company that sells jewelry made its most sizable profit due to gift purchases for Valentine's Day. So we're talking about January, and we know the jewelry company made its most sizable profit. By the end of February, the jewelry company lost $9,000 due to refunding returns. So by the end of February, the jewelry company lost $9,000 due to refunding returns. If the company made a total of $22,000 in this 2-month span, so in these 2 months they made $22,000. $22,000. So I'm going to go ahead and color code that in yellow. And then we're being asked a question. So let's actually talk about this. So ideally what we have is, we have the month of January. I'm going to abbreviate that with J. And then we add to that February. And now what I mean by this, the letter J represents the amount of money made in January. In this case, we know it was a profit. So in January, we know it was a profit. So profit's going to be associated with the positive numbers. And then we also know that in February, they lost $9,000. Lost associated with negativity. And now, so if we add these two things together, we end up with the total. So we end up with the total. And what was the total that they made in these 2 months? Well, that's actually given to us. They made $22,000 in the 2-month span. So there we go. So ideally this is where the equation is going to have the type of structure. So let's go ahead and write things down. So for step 3, forming an equation, what we want to worry about first is January. What happened in January? Well, we know they made a sizable profit, but keep in mind the question that we are to answer. The question is, how much profit did the jewelry company make during the month of January? So when we're talking about January, we don't actually know how much, but we know it's going to be represented by a positive x or simply just an x again, because that is profit. And the next thing is we're going to talk about what happened in February. Well, in February, they suffered a loss. So in February, the only way to demonstrate loss is through a negative sign. And then we're going to have the 9. And then this is going to be equal to the total, which was 22,000 over the 2-month span. And again, we're just working with the numbers 9 and 22, and we'll worry about the thousand and dollars later. So it's going to be our equation. So now we're going to want to go ahead and solve it. So we'll start off by bringing it down. X minus 9 is equal to 22. So now again, when solving, you want to get the variable completely by itself. So right now the problem is that we're subtracting 9 from it. So we want to undo the subtraction of 9. The only way to do so is by the opposite operation, which is addition. So we're going to go ahead and add 9 to both sides. So again, the original equation is x minus 9. And that's equal to 22. And we're going to go ahead and add 9 to both sides. And again, the reason for that is because this negative 9 is going to simplify out with this positive 9. And we're going to be left with x, which is what we desired. And I'll go ahead and color code that in green. And then on the right hand side, we're going to have 22 plus 9. So we'll go ahead and do that off to the side as scratch work. 22 plus 9. So we'll do the 2 plus the 9, it gives us an 11. So we bring down the 1 and add a 1. So it's going to have 1 plus 2, which is going to give us a 31. So 22 plus 9 is equal to 31. So now let us go ahead and see our conclusion clearly. Since the question asked how much profit did the jewelry company make during the month of January, we're going to go ahead and say our conclusion so that it reflects that question. And we'll go ahead and write down, during the month of January, the jewelry company made a profit of $31,000. So here we go. Again, our conclusion is simply the question reworded in the form of a statement. So now let us go ahead and check the result. Again, when checking the result, you want to start off with the original equation. So we're going to have x minus 9 is equal to 22. But we already know the value of x. We know that to be equal to 31. So we'll go ahead and substitute that in. So we'll have 31 minus 9 is equal to 22. So all that's left to do is simplify the 31 minus 9, since the 22 on the right hand side is already simplified to its fullest. So we'll go ahead and do 31 minus 9 off to the side of scratch work. So we're going to want to do 1 minus 9. We can't do that because the 1 is less than the 9. So the 1 needs to borrow from the 3 next door. So the 3 becomes a 2, and our 1 becomes an 11. So now we're going to go ahead and do 11 minus 9. Well, we can do that, and that's going to give us 2. And now what we have left is to bring down the 2. So we're left with 22 on the left. Now the question is the left-hand side, which is 22, equal to the right-hand side, which is also 22? The answer is yes. So we already checked our result, and we know our solution is correct.